Waze, Wix, Fiverr, these are all billion-dollar companies started by Jewish Israeli entrepreneurs. Being a Jewish entrepreneur myself, I have always wondered, what is it about the Jewish culture that has created so many successful people? So to find out, I decided to fly all the way to Tel Aviv, Israel, to talk to the most successful Jewish people I know, to find out what are they doing differently so we can learn from them.
But before I go and speak to some of these billion-dollar CEOs, I hit the streets to hear from the people of Israel what makes them so successful and find out what we can learn from them.
What do you do for a living?
I'm an accountant in my profession.
Why do you think Jewish people are successful?
I think their IQ is higher than the average.
Than the average, for
them.
sure. Very business oriented. We're looked upon in a way where we're like the underdogs, and so it's very hard for us to like show that we strive, and so we have to work 10 times harder than the normal human.
What do y'all do for a living?
For the 38 years in my life, I had 12 hairdressers.
Are you in hairdressing as well?
No, I'm different.
Why do you think Jewish people in Israel create so many entrepreneurs?
First of all, if you see even in the history, Jewish people very successful in business. We have something, God create us, I believe in God. He created us the special above than everyone. It's very deep.
What do you do in Israel?
So I was a program manager. I worked the educational program. I used to give our software to students all around the world.
How much does a program manager like that make in Israel?
About 100, and moving up from there, a person I think could make
Dollars or shekels?
dollars. Jewish people in general have always had a necessity to be able to figure things out. So they become very good problem solvers, and fortunately, solving problems can be a very financially, worthwhile endeavor.
We're asking people how they like living in Israel.
The best in the West.
Best in the West? What kind of stuff do you guys do in Israel?
I'm accountant. Startup companies.
If I were to be an accountant, how much could I make in Israel?
30,000.
Oh, shekels a month?
Yes.
It's pretty good. If I were to work in tech here, what's the range of salaries I could make?
50 to 60.
So $20,000 a month. So $250,000 salaries here.
Yeah.
What do you think about Israeli and Jewish people culturally that is so, it seems very interesting because a lot of Jews are very successful. Like, why do you think that is?
All of the Israelis like to be the boss, Israeli, they never like to hear no. So they break every wall.
What is it about Jewish culture or Israeli culture? We seem to succeed in certain areas more than other groups.
Yeah, I personally believe a lot has to do with the army. I think you mature a lot, being forced into the army at 18 years old. You're forced to mature very quickly, You're more prepared than just education.
What did you do in your career?
Retail business.
What kind of retail?
Sporting goods, outdoor goods, that type of merchandise.
What can people learn from the Israeli culture, the Jewish culture? Because it does seem like there's a lot of success in our culture.
I think Israeli people are super innovative, super smart. They don't let the grass grow under their feet. They move very, very quickly. And that's evidenced by their place in the world markets where, they've done fantastically.
What do you do in Israel?
I'm doing the real estate business, co-working.
Co-working? You set those up and stuff?
Yes, I launched the business.
Is it a lucrative thing to start a co-working?
Yes, it's a great market. A huge part of the economy of Israel is like high-tech.
Why do you think the Jews and Israeli people have been so successful?
They are open-minded, and we have to think about how they grew when they were like a child.
So when they're kids, it feels like they have more freedom to just explore and figure things out, which creates a lot of they're open-minded, creative.
Yeah.
They feel like there's no rules sometimes.
Something like that.
Now that we've talked to some of the people in Israel, it was time to go and chat to CEOs of billion-dollar companies and hear their take on why Israel has such a high success rate, plus lessons they've learned throughout their career.
How do you think growing up in Israel shaped you as an entrepreneur?
I think Israel is a great ground for entrepreneurship. First, the Israeli culture really good in doing things fast. There is only 1 degree of separation because Israel is small. So everybody know everyone, so information transfer move very, very quickly. So I think all these things make Israel very unique for a great startup ecosystem, and this is why they call us for many years the startup nation.
What do you think it is about Israel and Jewish culture that molds so many entrepreneurs?
Well, I was once asked a question when I was speaking at Harvard by a woman from New Zealand, how do we create startup nation in New Zealand? And I said, you can't. And she said, well, why can't you? Because everything works in New Zealand. And in Israel, so many things don't work. And you drop your kid off at kindergarten, the kindergarten teacher's not there, or the school's going on strike. Nothing kind of works, and so you improvise all the time, and that leads to an entrepreneurial culture.
I would say the big difference culturally is probably not be so surprised by ups and downs and chaos. I think Israelis are probably more used to that.
If there's some chaos in the company, trust the process.
What do you mean when you say trust the process?
What I mean is that if it goes downhill, uphill, it doesn't really affect you as much anymore. Like normally you maybe have sleepless night or anything like that, but now it's like, okay, this happened, tomorrow we'll have a new day, we'll go after it again.
If someone's in another country anywhere and they move their startup to Israel,
They don't. They simply don't. You aren't going to start in your own backyard, period. That's it.
do you think if they started in Israel, they'd be more likely to succeed?
They're going to be much more likely to fail. You increase the likelihood of being successful by starting in your own backyard. This is where you're going to learn the fastest. As soon as you're done learning, you should go someplace else. Israel startups will always think about the global market from the first day because Israel is a small market. You're not going to become successfully global if you started in the US and you're not successful in the US.
Did you notice a difference when you hired Americans?
In America, there's a lot of emphasis not to make the other person feel bad. Okay, so a lot of the time the conversation need to be very fluff, not say stuff direct. Another interesting thing that was very clear to me as I grow, because of the directness, I found that Israeli cannot tell stories well. And this is why I see that a lot of the time that in the US you have a lot of great sales talent, marketing talent, that in Israel is less because of probably the culture and the way we communicate.
I get asked by Americans a lot, like if I go to work in an Israeli company, what's the one thing I need to know? And I tell them, in America, if somebody's yelling at you, it means you got a problem. In Israel, if they stop yelling at you, you got a problem because it means they don't care.
If someone was starting out in Israel or anywhere in the world and they wanted to make $1 million, how would you recommend them getting that?
First of all, think about revenue model from day one and start making money from day one. This is something not very clear. A lot of startups, they say, I will think about revenue later. So I think even now with the market condition, it's something very important.
Making money is never a strong enough drive to build the startups because it's a roller coaster journey, it's a complex journey, it's a long journey. Right, so if this is about making money, then I would say go and join Series D startups, get enough options, it will go public, you will make money. The journey itself is because of passion. And in many cases, the derivative of that is going to be that if you're successful, then you'll make a lot of money.
The most important thing is buy start action. You can read all books all day you want, but that's not going to make you succeed. And even now reading a lot of books I've read before only now makes sense, now that I'm going through that process myself.
What are some examples of how you've taken action where you think other people might read the book or watch the video or sit around?
I started with a lot of direct outreach. I think people don't speak about direct outreach enough. I would say like, hey, I'm CEO here, I would love to personally give you a demo, like they would feel special. That has helped us in the beginning get to the first few hundred customers.
All of my startups are about solving a problem. And when you're solving a problem, the good thing is the world is going to become a better place if you solve that. Actually, it's going to become a better place if someone else will solve that as well. End of the day, they want to make an impact. They want to change the world. They want to make it a better place. Not for themselves, for everyone else.
If you like this video, you are going to love this video right up here where I knock on millionaires' doors and ask them how to get rich. And make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Uncle Noah loves you, and I'll see you out there. Pew, pew.